Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Learning Space. We are at a slightly different time today so that we could accommodate all our guests in all our time zones. My name is Nicole Gugliucci. I am a postdoc with CosmoQuest, and I have with me my co-host, Bracey, who's right across the hall this time.
I know. I can almost hear you in real time as well.
Echo. George is the formal education lead for CosmoQuest. And I am joined by our two special guests today. We have Thilina Heenatigala. I got that close, I think.
Almost.
Almost. I'm so, yeah, as a Gugliucci, I get it. And Amelia Ortiz Gill.
Hi.
And they have a project that they wanted to share with us. This is really cool. It's called A Touch of the Universe. So this is a way to bring astronomy to the visually impaired, which is an amazing concept because we think of it as just this visual science, this thing we can enjoy with our eyes. I want to remind all our viewers, first of all, thank you for coming at the new time. This will be for this week only, unless otherwise noted. Next week, I think we'll be back to our regular time.
Right.
If you would like to comment, hang on, I'm trying to bring up the comment stream. If you would like to comment or ask a question of our guests, you can do so on the YouTube page. We'll see those comments coming in. If you're watching from the event page where the video is embedded, we are looking at those comments as well. Anywhere else on Google Plus where this is broadcasting, we should be able to see those comments, but the YouTube and the event page are the best places. If you are watching somewhere else and want to use Twitter, use the hashtag #LearningSpace, and we will see those comments as well. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll dive right into it with Amelia and Thilina. Can you give us a brief overview of this project here?
Yes, I'll just start, before jumping into the project, I'll just start with something else. Now, I have been doing astronomy outreach for quite a while, even as a kid, because where I come from in Sri Lanka, we don't have any astronomy in a professional level. So you have to do your own thing. And I remember when I was in grade 9, we were doing this star party, and one of the kids actually was not. He didn't have any disability, but he was in a wheelchair because of an accident. And so he came to the star party with his parents, and we didn't know how. I mean, we had to accommodate for him to adjust the telescope, which was difficult, where the way he was seated. And then I realized, if we had lot more people with disabilities, we would have a problem because it's just such a difficult thing to accommodate to various types of how they are. I mean, usually, especially it's the same with the kids, because once you adjust especially at the school, once you adjust the telescope, and you need to change and fix it again for each and every person. And then that one incident I wanted to share, and the other one is we have a blind school in Sri Lanka, and I got involved. I volunteered to teach them cricket. By the way, for your information, cricket is like a huge thing in Sri Lanka.
You get to run with the bat.
Yes.
That's what I love the most. But sorry.
And so these kids were asking what I do and what I study. I was in high school that time, and I said I was in high school, but I want to pursue my career in astronomy. And so they were intrigued by explain what is astronomy. And then I realized astronomy is a visual thing. How do you explain? And so I had such a hard time trying to convince this is astronomy, this is science. And they kept asking questions like pushing me. And I realized I don't know how to explain, because if you just show the images, it's much easier.
Yeah.
How do you explain a galaxy? And I mean, you can't. These are kids, so you can't go any more detail in the physics of science. Explain like a star is this, so on. And you need to be like very creative. And then, but after those two incidents, actually, I got me thinking. We should do something about to accommodate these challenges, and then then I met Amelia a couple of years back, and then she got involved with Astronauts Without Borders, and we started with this project called Astronomy People with Disabilities. And but I mean, it's not in a non-existence. There are quite a lot of people doing very individual efforts. And what we started at Astronomers Without Borders is to try to get all these people together. And this project we are going to talk about is actually part of that. I mean, it kind of started with how we all got together and so on. To introduce the project, I want to let Amelia do it. So Amelia?
Yeah, oh, okay. Yes, well, the idea is to help teachers in developing countries to have some materials for their students with some special needs, right? So we decided at some point to put together a few resources to make it easier for them to introduce basic astronomical concepts to their blind students mainly. I mean, all this material it's not only for blind people. It can be used the same by people with normal sight. So it's
I think it's cool too.
It's something under the it's made in the frame of the universal design of learning. So to create materials which are accessible to the most people that can use it. So yeah, we will develop this kit with different astronomical activities, and we will then distribute it to developing countries in Africa, Asia, and America also. And although the kit is mainly addressed to young kids, but it can be used by anyone who wants to learn about astronomy or just to touch the moon or so yes, inside the kit we have a few objects that we can describe, and you can put the first picture I sent to you. We have that's a web page. We have a web page for the project, and the first element we have in the kit is a half sphere. You can show us the next picture. I think should be So we have gathered a few objects which we have made among the people who are working in the project. So if you go to the next picture, we have this half sphere. It's part of a planetarium show for blind people. So it's a program that we developed for the International Year of Astronomy back in 2009, and it has a soundtrack in various languages. At the moment it is in Spanish and Portuguese, and we are dubbing it into English also. And it has some special effects related to the objects we are talking about in the program, during the program. And at the same time, the public can actually touch the constellations that we are talking about in the program. So we make this mixture of sounds and tactile things. And yeah, we can show another picture, which is the people in the planetarium at Espinho in Portugal. They were attending one of this show for blind people. We still have some projection on the dome because there are people who are not completely blind, so they can still feel the light coming from from the dome, and also the people who go along with the blind people, they can see, and it's nice if they can see the.
Yeah, it looks like it would be enjoyable for a sighted person as well to sit there and actually have the tactile experience.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you before. It's a show for all. It's we try to make it as wide as possible.
Right.
And
so
then,
you have enough of those half spheres, Amelia, for everybody that attends? They each have their own sphere, it looks like, and okay.
Everybody who is blind, actually.
Okay.
We have a limited number. Okay. If you have as many half spheres as people, then you can give one to each. But if not, we use one for the blind people, maybe. They have a preference.
How do you, I should put my face back. How do you make the spheres? Are these 3D printed? Or are these made by a manufacturer?
Yes, these are 3D printed.
Oh, cool.
So we have a company which prints the model, and then it seems that it's a bit expensive to 3D print every single half sphere. So they make the prototype with a 3D printer, and then they make a silicon mold, and from that silicon mold they make cheaper copies in resin or some kind of plastic, which is hard and light and useful for these things and cheaper.
But I wonder if a school or somebody had access to a 3D printer, could they get the directions or whatever they need from you and print their own? Is that possible?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. We will send them the file, the STL file to be printed, and all the directions to work with it. We also have produced a flat version that people can print in a Braille printer, which are more common than 3D printers. And we also have a do-it-yourself with cheap, everyday materials. So it's you can do the half sphere by yourself. It takes a while, but I think it's a nice workshop for children. So in fact, we had this idea of having a workshop for sighted and non-sighted children. With sighted children, we'll make the half sphere, and that will be afterwards used by the non-sighted children.
That's great.
So they all collaborate on the.
Right, because it's so beneficial for both groups.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm sorry, just scrolled ahead to the next picture. What are the people wearing on their heads in the? Is this part of the show as well?
It's part of the show, actually. This is from the premiere of the show at the Hemispheric in Valencia. The Hemispheric is a planetarium which has it has 7 different sound lines. So they have the possibility of sending just the voice of one of the narrators directly to your headphones. So the program has 2 narrators. One of them is explaining the general astronomical topic, and the other one is giving instructions to the users to move through this half sphere, so they know where to touch at any time during the show. So the instructions were sent directly to the headphones.
Okay.
So they were not heard through the whole planetarium, but only to the headphones, to the people wearing the headphones. So it's a pretty.
Nicole, sorry, can you make that picture appear large on the main screen? Or?
Oh, I did. You can't see it because you're in the Hangout.
See.
Sorry. You can click on the window. Hang on. When I'm screen sharing something.
Sorry, technical question here.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
And I can make the audience see it. But if you want to see it, you have to click on that square individually, so you have more control over your own. Okay. Which makes it really frustrating when I'm in a Hangout. I'm not watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we were talking about with the headset.
Yes. Now I see. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
The last day, actually, I got I was able to touch I was we were at the European Planetary Science Congress, and Amelia actually brought a couple of these, I think. And so it was the first time I managed to touch one actually, and I remember the time I met these kids at the blind school, and I was thinking this is perfect. And by that time we had already, I think by that time we had already submitted our proposal to OAD.
We were finishing
we were finishing. Yeah, and I was when I was actually touching that half space, I was thinking myself, I must get involved with this project because it just, I mean, you can explain as much as you want, but when you actually see it, when you actually touch it, then you realize how important this is for people with disabilities, especially like visually impaired. And then we don't really see the impact of I mean, how large is this community? Because currently, according to World Health Organization data statistics, there are about 285 million people with some degree of visual impairment.
Wow.
That's a huge number. And about 39 million are blind, and then rest have some degree of visual impairment. And the thing is, about 90% of them are living in developing countries, which is the worst, because they don't get any facilities to improve that. And then if you look at the other areas like jobs and getting along in I mean their day-to-day life, it's such a struggle, especially if you're coming from a developing country and then you have disabilities, and then it's predicted that this is going to keep increasing because of the population increase.
Yeah.
And so we need to, I mean, we all do outreach whenever possible, and it's good I mean, if everyone can be prepared or have some sort of experience, so as in some kind of resources in handy to, if you can do some, for example, if you're doing a star party and if somebody with a disability approach you, and then I have seen, because I have seen people telling the stories. We didn't have any way of actually promoting that person because he or she had a disability, and so it's such a sad thing if you actually turn them around. And so we need to. It would be nice if those are doing outreach and if they are accommodated with some resources, and that's one of the reasons actually behind the kit. And we are. Can I go into distribution, Amelia?
As you want, but we could go on presenting the items of the kit.
Sure, yeah.
Whatever you like.
And then or
definitely.
As you want. I mean, you can go into the distribution.
And
There's
because
no rules.
I'm a bit too excited because the distribution goes to developing.
Yes.
The distribution goes to developing countries, and one of my focus. I mean, not one of my focus. My focus when it comes to astronomy is actually in developing countries. And Amelia will take you through the kit later on, but. We are going to the distribution is the whole focus is on developing countries, and so we'll be focusing on countries in Africa, Asia, and even in like Americas, especially in Latin America. And these groups we are going to reach not, I mean, they're not actually, they haven't been doing any outreach related to people with disabilities, but we are going to get them to do, because unless somebody starts, they're not, I mean, people are not going to actually try to create themselves. So we know this is, I mean, this is definitely going to work, and because when Amelia explains the kit, you can see how easily you can anybody can do it. And I remember one of our friends from Africa who was about 2 weeks back saying, I told him that he's from Tanzania, And I told him when we have the kit available, you should definitely apply for one. And then he replied saying he would love to have one, but he is not actually experienced in dealing with doing programs with people with disabilities. And then we both replied saying you don't have to have any experience because it's very simple using this kit. And we have included the instructions and how to use them, and so that's a good example on why people are a bit reluctant. But with the kit and with the resources we create, it's very easy. And Amelia, if you can explain what's in the kit.
Yes, I can.
You're on, Amelia.
The next item is the tactile 3D moon.
This is cool. Wait, let me get the screen share.
Yeah.
I want one.
So this one, there is a group of people touching the moon. It's a tactile moon we have designed mainly for blind people. It's not very. It doesn't have many details on the surface, so it's easier to be understood by touch. Because if you let too many details to touch, it can get confusing. So we have only kept the main features of the moon in terms of visibility. We wanted to convey the tactile in a tactile way, the sensation we have when we look to the moon. So, for example, it's not just a topographic representation of the moon.
Right.
So you can find there the ray craters, which the rays of the craters, which they don't have any relief in reality on the surface of the moon, but you notice them clearly when you look at the moon. So we wanted to include them on the sphere for the blind people to learn, okay, craters have also rays. So
wow, that's really cool. How did you decide? Yeah. I mean, how did you decide what features to, I guess, pull forth and which to ignore?
Okay, for the near side, we chose the most famous ones.
Okay.
You know, the Maria and the Copernicus crater, Tycho crater, all these very famous features. And then for the far side, we just use the largest ones.
Okay.
In fact, in general, we kept just the largest features on the moon are the ones which are kept. So we put two caps to the moon in order to mark the North Pole and the South Pole. And on the North Pole you get a T on relief, so people know where the North is and where the South is.
Okay.
And then we also put a meridian, which is making the transition from the near side to the far side. So we can also explain that we only see half of it, and the other half we cannot see.
That's cool.
But
that actually answers one of the questions. Yeah, we just got a question from T3601SU on YouTube. I'm just calling you T3. Can one tell the near side versus the far side? Just looking at this, I can't tell which one this is, if this is the near side or far side, but it's one of them because that must be the South Pole and the meridian going around.
Yeah, I think this is Tycho's. This is Tycho's crater, so it's
right here.
It's a near side, yes.
Oh, I see it.
It's a near side.
Cool.
So if you go back to the previous picture,
sure.
There in the moon, you can see the face, which is facing us, is the near. It's the near side with the names there.
Okay.
And you can put the names so people don't get lost on a blank moon.
Yeah.
With some
But
tiles in it.
you don't have the names on there raised up, right, or in Braille, or
No, no.
because
Actually,
you want to just represent the visual experience of seeing the moon as it is
yes,
in the sky. That's more the idea.
yeah.
Yes.
And first, okay, we had a prototype, and we had a prototype in which we had also some braille marks on the moon, but they got confused with those. So people just asked us to change them or just to remove them because they were confusing. So what one can do is actually with using Vimo, you can put some marks with the braille demo, and pass them, glue them to the surface of the moon, and then you can also remove them when you don't want to use them. So in this way, they can read the marks easier because they are on the demo and they are easier to read. And you can also change the marks. And I want to talk about craters today. Okay, so I will mark just craters. And then another one day, I want to talk about Apollo landing sites. So I will mark only Apollo landing sites. And so it makes the object a more versatile thing to work with.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is really cool, and it's not just that, it's not a true topographic representation. It's translated into a tactile translation, I think. Yeah, that is really cool.
Yes, that's the main idea. It's not we started off with a visual map of the moon made by Clementine, the Clementine probe by NASA. So there are some topographic maps too, but we wanted to give the tactile impression of the visual thing. So not the real topographic moon, but what we actually see.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I wanted to put in another brief comment also from T3 saying that my astronomy club donated several just then released Braille astronomy books to a local library. Said it was so easy, it was easy. One guy in the club heard about the books, bought them, donated them to the library, and the club all chipped in to do it. So helping out is something as easy as that, just deciding to go ahead and order something like this and donate it.
Yeah.
And most of the things in the kit actually are free. I mean, they're online. And as Amelia said earlier, then you can, if you have access to a 3D printer, then you can ask for the files from us and get it created yourself. And I think about 90 or 95% of the materials are free. There might be one or two like books or something that you might have to buy yourself, but almost all the materials in the kit are free. And but we have been getting lots of inquiries about whether people can actually buy. I mean, people in the sense those who are from developed countries asking whether they can buy the kit so they can actually do programs too. And we might be able to have the kits available for others in the sense that if they buy one, and then we can donate another to a developing country. But this might come after the first round of 30 kits.
That's similar to what Galileoscope did. I think they each buy one and then donate one to a classroom.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's more in this kit, and the next thing is Galaxy, so I'm excited. You want to talk about that?
The next thing are the FETU Braille sheets, which have been donated by the Chandra Center. They're very nice material, actually, that they've done, combining very nice images and which they have translated into tactile images. They have the tactile key explain the different features on the image.
So you can put your hand over this image once it's printed, and you can feel where the center of the galaxy is. You can feel where the arms are. You can feel where the X-ray gas is. That is so cool. So they're doing multi-wavelength, and they're doing it in a tactile way.
Yeah. So Chandra has given us this for the kids. So we are very grateful to them for this, because it's really very nice material, actually.
Is this something that's more difficult to print? They've already printed them up for you?
Yes, they already printed it for us. So
Gotcha.
I don't know whether they are available actually for download on their website, but you can just go up to that web address and have a look or ask them.
Yeah, you can request them.
What's that?
You can request them.
Okay, you can request them. Yeah, because it looks like it'd be a more difficult thing to print because it's not straight rail, right? It's funky shapes. That is fantastic. So yeah, I'm like putting my hand against the screen trying to touch it, and it's not working. There's another one here. This is Eta Carinae, our favorite star that should go supernova.
Yeah, at some point. We are waiting for it. We're still waiting.
Wow.
So there will be also a book of activities to be carried out with the planetarium hemisphere and also the tactile 3D moon. We are on the kit. We are also including a CD with the soundtrack for the planetarium show, so they can actually reproduce the whole planetarium show if they want to, or they can use the hemisphere to make other activities. And in this book of activities, we are giving some suggestions on how to use the hemisphere. But of course, I'm sure that the teachers will come up with new and wonderful ways to use these objects once they get them. And finally, we are planning to include also a book on tactile astronomy by Noreen Grease. She has all these wonderful books on astronomy in Braille for blind people, and we would like to include at least one of those in each one of the kits, along with the kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you put all the materials together, it will be like a box in a box or something that which you can carry around. Right? You can put it in your back of the car and then go around and stop somewhere. If you spot some deep planet, stop and let's learn astronomy.
You look like you want to learn astronomy.
Yeah.
It's fine. I do it all the time. So how can someone get one of these kits again?
It's probably in about in about 2 months or so, we'll be putting out a call, as in through our partner. I mean, the kit is there are lots of partners involved in the kit, and these, as I mentioned before, the distribution goes out to countries in the developing world, but we'll be using networks of 4 of our partners, the Astronomers Without Borders and Universe Awareness, and then the Galileo Teacher Training Program, and then the Galileo Mobile. Galileo Mobile will get 2 kits because those guys are actually going places. And then, so through these networks, we'll look for groups which we know who can make a difference and get the best use out of the kit. And in the first round and in this as first step, we are creating 30 kits. So 30 kits will be distributed among these networks. I mean the groups involved in those networks, and we might probably ask them to, like, let's say for example, like 5 goes to AWP groups and 5 goes to Universe Awareness groups or something. Maybe they'll tell us these are the groups deserving that they should probably get them, because I mean 30 kits is such a small number, and we don't have means of putting out a call. You apply. and so they'll probably we'll probably let them decide who are the groups, because they have been these they have been there are so many groups involved with these partners for such a long time, so they know ins and out of these groups, and so we'll probably do that in about 2 months after the production period, and we do have more partners involved. Amelia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, the the project is partially funded by the International Astronomical Union's Office for Astronomy for Development. So those are the main partners. And other partners are, okay, my institution, the Astronomical Observatory of the University of Valencia, NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory, which is providing us with these beautiful Fetu Braille sheets, and also the Astronomical Observatory of Padova in Italy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we are...
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So the IAU, the Office of Astronomy for Development, is actually the project is partially funded by them, and we are hoping that we could actually, with those funding, we hope that we can actually complete the production, but to get the rest of the resources together, and then the to distribution, which means the other part of the funding, we are raising donations, and because to finish the project, actually we need like another 5,000, about 5,000 euros.
Yeah.
And so we are currently we are keeping an open kind of. There's no deadline. We are keeping open donation call, and we hope like people will support. And because it's not like this is a very unique opportunity for all of us. I mean, I haven't got involved with a project like this I mean, this is my first time, and I'm trust me, I'm a sucker for good projects, and you can see how you can change people's lives, and how you can to give the universe to somebody who has never seen it, and because I have personally experienced that how difficult it is to show someone with a visual impaired, how difficult to show something so visually, and we need more. I mean, we need more things like this happening in the world, and we need more people to get into this field, create resources, and start doing sessions, programs, include in their sessions, and have some kind of methods or strategies in their already running programs to accommodate all these people with disabilities. And so this is kind of like our very tiny contribution to that field, and if we hope people will support it, because we need actually the financial support a lot. And so hopefully with everyone's support, we can continue and carry on.
And so you guys all heard that. This is one way you can help, is to donate your...
Yes.
They'll change your dollars into euros, I'm sure, so...
We need more money,
Yeah.
So
it's
yeah.
good. I mean, just sacrifice your Starbucks coffee and then donate that money.
Yeah, you don't need that latte. Good old office coffee. That's awesome. I've also added the links to the IAU Astronomy Development Office is astrofordev.org.
Yeah.
And I saw you had shared on Google+, they just put out a newsletter with this very nice graphic of the different ways that astronomy actually benefits society, which makes me so happy. And the Galileo Teacher Training Program, which I think is having a big meeting coming up in July or August?
July.
In July.
Or July and August, yeah.
Yeah. It's galileoteachers.org, and so there's a lot of teacher resources there. a lot of programs that can be done. I know some are with the Galileo scope, but then it also includes this project as well. Let me see. I lost what window I had open. We have a comment from Michael Jobin saying that Ben had a 5-foot tactile moon at Convergence.
Wow.
They had a okay, that's awesome. Convergence is a sci-fi convention held in Minneapolis every summer, which I'm going to in July. So I will have to check that out. And then T3 also talked about his club member. This club had a blind member, one of the original club founders. He was very fond of astronomy podcasts, which is another way of sharing astronomy. And he said he'd stay up after midnight to hear Stardate on the radio every night. So that's pretty cool. So do you have anything else, any other interesting bits of the project that you want to describe or talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Something really important.
Yes.
You can donate from our website.
Yes.
Using PayPal, or you can actually donate through bank as well. All the information on the website. If you go, there's a huge banner kind of.
Yeah, it's you can't miss it. It's the largest banner in the website. Donate.
Is this a screenshot here? It says we need 5,500 euros. Yes, PayPal does do the conversion for you guys. You can do this. You can handle it. I have like 20 euros sitting at home in a jar, but that's not going to be much help to you guys. You can use PayPal. Awesome.
So do you guys have any plans for other things in the universe that you might convert to this tactile version? So we've got the moon, right, and then galaxies, and someone, I am trying to look at comments this time, it's usually beyond me, but someone mentions maybe doing a comet, but I just wondered, do you guys have any, for the future, already thinking more? What could you do?
I know some people have done already asteroids in 3D, and we have just finished tactile Mars also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's still warm in the oven, so.
You can have little rovers on it?
Not quite ready yet, but good. Very cool.
So, yeah.
I've seen a 3D printed version of Vesta, asteroid Vesta, but that was topographically correct. That wasn't the tactile version. But that would be really, since now that we've mapped that so thoroughly, that would be a good target to hit as well. You can get those concentric rings around the center.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's such a bizarre little world.
Although I'm not sure how it might get a bit tough to be understood just by touch. I mean, if you are looking to what you are touching, it's easier. But if you have too much detail, it can be a bit tricky.
Right.
So, but okay, I guess that once you start to learn how's the feel of a crater and the different shapes and different features you can find on the surface, then it's just a matter of getting trained to recognize more complex features. So.
Yeah. What about pulsars? Because I know a lot of pulsars have. Wouldn't that be cool? They have. You can convert it into sound and actually hear what it would be like if you could hear a pulsar going around. There might be a tactile pulsar to go along with those recordings.
Well, that shouldn't be difficult to do, right? Yeah. You just a sphere and then the beams, and that's it.
Yeah, but it has to be really heavy material, right? It has to be really dense material.
Yes.
To show a neutron star. All right, we can do this.
Yeah.
Quick to the machine shop.
Some lead or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what you can do with 3D printing. I mean, because the 3D printing has opened up this whole new world, and the problem is that the material you use for printing is pretty expensive. But if people have access to 3D printer, I guess we can provide things, because it's not just us who are creating this, and because as I said before, there are a couple of other people around the world who are doing their own thing, And apart from this project, we are trying to get everyone together in a same platform, so we don't kind of like repeat things. So
Sure. Yeah.
do the same thing, and it would be much more efficient than that.
Yes, for example, there are people in Argentina which are doing lots of things, and people at Jerkis too, which are doing lots of beautiful materials, tactile materials for the blind. And then if you go to 3D modeling, there is this Google SketchUp website where Google has got a 3D software which is called SketchUp, and they have a warehouse where they put lots and lots of models, 3D models that are ready to print, and they've got lots of NASA stuff in there. So lots of mission probes and mainly mission probes, I think you can find there, or some rockets too. So you can reproduce those also.
What about
they are ready to print. So.
Yeah. A scale model solar system could be another one. That's another one that's
scale.
Right? You've got, like sun.
Scale.
You need a very large you need a very large sun to be able to have a decent mercury.
Right. To get the distance right, you would need a large thing, but that at least just getting the scale.
Yes.
That's something that you could communicate through that as well. Awesome.
So if you get your kits out there and people start to create their own activities, like Amelia, you mentioned, teachers will start to do that eventually. Do you have a place, or will you be collecting all of them, and sort of a place where people can exchange ideas about what they're doing with these kits and maybe offer new ideas? So sort of a network, a forum even, Thilina, like we were talking a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
About
we'll probably have definitely all the groups who are using the kit will send us reports. And since this is very new, I mean new in the sense Amelia and a few other people have been testing these in Portugal and Spain and somewhere else too, in South America, I can't remember.
The moon has gone all over the world, from Argentina, Bracey, to
even
India. Yes.
Yeah, and so even though the tactile moon is there are no lots of activities based on that, and because it's very new. I mean, if you actually look into it, it's very new, and we have a set of activities, but I'm sure when people are using, they'll come up with their own ways, and especially. When you are using it in developing, I mean, let's say when you're using it in India, and if you're using it in somewhere in Chile or Argentina, they might use two different methods to reach their audience, and because it's very different where you come from, and you can't do the same activity, and you have to localize it, and so. We'll probably after we send this distribute all these 30 kits, and we'll probably have like more activities on the website, and we'll definitely share all the experience on the website. And so our website will be the kind of like the key place people can go to and check out things, and we'll probably keep feeding everyone. This is what's happening, and I'm sure there'll be things we can improve if we are going for a second round in the future.
Yeah, once you let this go in the wild, people will come up with ideas that you never would have dreamed of.
Yeah,
that's right, because everybody's got a slightly different situation, and then there's also just, I don't know, teachers and people who do this, they're so creative, and they can't leave anything alone. They have to tweak it here and there and come up with some great new ways to use it. So that's that sort of network or repository of ideas, and will be really important for people.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I will beg and plead you all watching to check out astrokit.uv.es. That's the home website for this project, Touch of the Universe. And yes, there's a big donate banner right up top. So if you can give a little bit, then please do check out all their partners. Do you guys have any last message or concluding message, last words you want to leave before we close up the show? Amelia?
Well, I think this is a very nice project, and we are offering everybody the opportunity to become part of it and collaborate. So I would just tell them, go ahead, make a donation, even if it's small, it will help anyway, and be part of this amazing project. I think it's a very nice project. So that will be my last words.
Awesome.
Well,
I just want to say that, yeah, I mean, anyway, as Amelia said, just do support the project. But when you do outreach, again, just think about the people with disabilities. So take that extra step, to support them too, so they can enjoy the universe in the same way we are doing.
You're making me rethink our local star party here, because you have to trudge through the mud, to get to it. It's not accessible even for able-bodied people. So yeah, that is definitely something to consider. So thank you so much. This is an awesome project, and I want to get one of these to play with myself, but I don't have a 3D printer, so I'll wait. I can live through Pamela when she's at the Galileo Teacher Training Workshop, so she can tell me all about it. So astrokit.uv.es is the website. Everyone should please go check that out. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's hangout is the Planetary Society, so they will be running at noon Pacific. And then Friday is the weekly space hangout, so join us at noon Pacific on Friday. We'll be wrapping up all the space stories from the week, and then we do our virtual star party where we bring the night sky to those of you with cloudy skies or light pollution, so you can watch, see all these wonderful things through telescopes right from the comfort of your home computer. That's on Sunday night. The time is
while having breakfast at my home.
Yeah, right. You're having breakfast when we're doing that. I know. We need to get some astronomers around the world here. Get some. I want to see some Southern Hemisphere stuff. We need to get some Southern Hemisphere.
that would be awesome.
Astronomers involved in that. But thank you everyone for watching. And
Thank you
I will.
very much. Great project.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks guys. Thanks guys.
For inviting us. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You can do so on the YouTube page. We'll see those comments coming in. If you're watching from the event page where the video is embedded, we are looking at those comments as well. Anywhere else on Google Plus where this is broadcasting, we should be able to see those comments, but the YouTube and the event page are the best places. If you are watching somewhere else and want to use Twitter, use the hashtag #LearningSpace, and we will see those comments as well. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll dive right into it with Amelia and Thilina. Can you give us a brief overview of this project here?
Yes, I'll just start, before jumping into the project, I'll just start with something else. Now, I have been doing astronomy outreach for quite a while, even as a kid, because where I come from in Sri Lanka, we don't have any astronomy in a professional level. So you have to do your own thing. And I remember when I was in grade 9, we were doing this star party, and one of the kids actually was not. He didn't have any disability, but he was in a wheelchair because of an accident. And so he came to the star party with his parents, and we didn't know how. I mean, we had to accommodate for him to adjust the telescope, which was difficult. The way he was seated, and project we are going to talk about is actually part of that. I mean, it kind of started with how we all go together and so on. To introduce the project, I want to let Amelia do it. So Amelia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes. Well, the idea is to help teachers in developing countries to have some materials for their students with some special needs, right? So we decided at some point to put together a few resources to to make it easier for them to introduce basic astronomical concepts to their blind students mainly. I mean, all this material it's not only for blind people. It can be used the same by people with normal sight. So it's
I think it's cool too.
it's something under the it's made in the frame of the universal design of learning. So to create materials which are accessible to the most people that can use it. So yeah, we will develop this kit with different astronomical activities, and we will then distribute it to developing countries.
Such a hard time trying to convince this is astronomy, this is a planet. And they kept asking questions like pushing me. And I realized I don't know how to explain, because if you just show the images, it's much easier.
Yeah.
How do you explain a galaxy? And I mean, you can't. These are kids, so you can't go any more detail into physics or science. Explain like a star is this, so on. And you need to be like very creative. And then, but after those two incidents, actually, got me thinking. We should do something about to accommodate these challenges. And then I met Amelia a couple of years back, and then she got involved with Astronauts Without Borders, and we started with this project called Astronomy People with Disabilities. And but I mean, it's not in a non-existence. There are quite a lot of people doing very individual efforts. And what we started at Astronomers Without Borders is to try to get all these people together. Then I realized, if we had lot more people with disabilities, we would have a problem, because it's just such a difficult thing to accommodate to various types of how they are. I mean, usually, especially it's the same with the kids, because once you adjust especially at the school, once you adjust the telescope, and you need to change and fix it again for each and every person. And then that one incident I wanted to share, and the other one is we have a blind school in Sri Lanka, and I got involved. I volunteered to teach them cricket. By the way, for your information, cricket is like a huge thing in Sri Lanka.
You get to run with the bat.
Yes.
That's what I love the most. But sorry.
And so these kids were asking what I do, and what I study. I was in high school that time, and I said I was in high school, but I want to pursue a career in astronomy. And so they were intrigued by explain what is astronomy. And then I realized astronomy is a visual thing. How do you explain? So I had a...
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Learning Space. We are at a slightly different time today, so we could accommodate all our guests in all our time zones. My name is Nicole Gugliucci. I am a postdoc with CosmoQuest, and I have with me my co-host Georgia Bracey, who's right across the hall this time.
I know. I can almost hear you in real time as well.
Echo. George is the former education lead for CosmoQuest. And I am joined by our two special guests today. We have Thilina Heenatigala. I got that close, I think.
Almost.
Almost. As a Gugliucci, I get it. And Amelia Ortiz Gill.
Hi.
And they have a project that they wanted to share with us. This is really cool. It's called A Touch of the Universe. So this is a way to bring astronomy to the visually impaired. which is it's an amazing concept because we think of it as just this visual science, this thing we can enjoy with our eyes. I want to remind all our viewers, first of all, thank you for coming at the new time. This will be for this week only, unless otherwise noted. Next week, I think we'll be back to our regular time.
Right.
If you would like to comment, hang on, I'm trying to bring up the comment stream. If you would like to comment or ask a question of our guests,